And I think we can already continue with Martina, who is going to talk about digital editing and give an impression of the state-of-the-art challenges and potentials of this field.
Thank you, Frank. So, hello everybody, and I want to thank you for the invitation here to speak to you. My name is Martina, and I'm the Deputy Head of the Research and Development Department at Göttingen State and University Library. Today I will talk to you about some challenges and perspectives of digital editions from our point of view, since we research in this area and collaborate in this area for around about 10 years. So I have mainly 4 points to talk about. These are the challenges of digital editions in general, state of the art of digital editing and perspectives, and I want to introduce to you some main issues of the research environments TextGrid and DARIAH, and maybe a closing word about making digital working possible, some requirements for digital editing and in a virtual research environment. So I want to start with a citation of John Unsworth, who says that digital humanities is using computational tools to do the work of the humanities. The main basis to do scholarly or scientific work in the humanities are texts. Mainly not just texts, but historical critical editions of texts. That means if you want to work in the area of the humanities in the digital age, and with the abilities coming with that, you need digital editions which fulfill the criteria of scholarly validation, correctness, trustiness. And this leads us to some challenges of digital editions. And to another citation of a leading expert in Germany in the area of scholarly editing. It's Odo Plachter, who says that editions are, whatever their requirement, major scientific undertakings. They are time-consuming, costly, labor and work-intensive, in short, mucho trabajo. So the basic issues are maintaining the connection to the original version versus proximity to the user and to guarantee easy access to the editions. The consistency and easy to use versus specialization, scientific reuse are basic issues. The heterogeneous or insufficient data structure, dispersed portfolios, thinking in terms of books, unclarified legal situations, technical barriers, lack of resources, lack of knowledge or of user requirements, and lack of usability, insufficient communication, mediation between various academic disciplines and the information science, and few established models or standards. The edition analog reproduces the technical and structural specifications of the printed version, provides only one single layer of presentation, and has no possibility of reuse or extension. On the other hand, the born digital edition, which comes into existence in the digital infrastructure, that means it's based on structured data, modeling, databases, algorithms, and can be further processed with methods of visualization. So let's have a look of the state of the art and of some perspectives. Digital editions have existed for several decades, but as one of the core applications of digital humanities, they have experienced an upswing in the last 10 years. This is due to two factors. One, because it has gotten much easier to get in touch with the critical mass today, and two, because of the increasing possibilities to rent cheap storage space. Over the past years, Göttingen State and University Library and the projects TextGrid and DARIAH have supported and are still supporting are a variety of digital editions. While in former years these editions were mainly text-based, there are now a lot of image-based editions, since without the synoptic view of the facsimile and transcription, digital editions are a hard thing to imagine. The digitization of cultural heritage in combination with increasing availability of cost-effective storage has fostered this development. There has also been an increasing demand for tools and services that enable collaborative annotation of images and text, that assist in the linking of text and images, that enable comfortable editing and development, that support in the development according to TEI, and that allow the connectivity and reusability as linked open data. In recent times, when it comes to defining the potential of a digital edition, completely new aspects have become important, especially the dynamic form of presentation they offer. Unlike the printed work, digital editions can use several alternative forms of representation, far beyond the synoptic display of facsimile and transcribed text. In recent years, visualizations, network analysis, and illustrations, image-based methods of analysis, which open up a lot of new possibilities with new storage options and a series of tools and services for image management and viewing, have become a point of focus. Digital editions are among the core applications of digital humanities. They are no longer mainly text-based, but to a large extent also image-based. Not only do digital material and infrastructures offer a vast variety of new dimensions of global accessibility and presentation, it also opens up new possibilities for the methods, procedures, and technologies for the development, research, analysis, and reuse of material. The innovative force is solutions to problems that weren't previously noticed. The absence of the visual level, the lack of systematic access to the entire word inventory, the reduction of a text version. And so I want to introduce once more TextGrid and DARIAH, but you will learn more about it, of course, later on and tomorrow. So let's have a look on the definition of VREs by the Alliance of Science Organizations in Germany. The Alliance of Science Organizations in Germany is the union of the most important German research organizations. It issues statements relating to research policy and funding and the structure development of the German research system. Members of the Alliance include, for example, the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, the Deutsche Forschungsgemeinschaft, it's the German Research Foundation, and so on. And they say a virtual research environment is a platform which allows multiple researchers in different locations to work together in real time without restrictions. In terms of content, virtual research environments potentially support the entire research process, from the collection, discussion, and further processing of data right through to the publication of results. From a technological perspective, virtual environments are based primarily on software services and communication networks. Virtual research environments are essential components of state-of-the-art research infrastructure. Between the lines of this definition, you can detect some of the advantages and potentials of virtual research environments. The interdisciplinary exchange of data, of knowledge, of information and ideas, methods, processes, tools, for example, topic modeling for processing huge amounts of text with linguistic tools, of requirements, accessibility, retrieval openness, joint standards, analyzability. Goals are new research results and knowledge, new research questions, and new research methods. And this is possible, for example, with TextGrid and DARIAH. And so let's take a brief look at TextGrid as a VRE and DARIAH as a research infrastructure where VREs can connect to other research-related tools and services. For those who have not heard about TextGrid or DARIAH yet, here's a quick summary of how the two projects are related and interact with each other. TextGrid and DARIAH are big German infrastructure projects, we heard this already, for the humanities, funded by the German Federal Ministry of Education and Research. And it's a little bit like the big sister, which is DARIAH, and the little sister, which is TextGrid. In other words, TextGrid offers a specific range of services and tools in the framework of a bigger infrastructure. I would like to present both projects to you today in order to illustrate how digital research environments and infrastructures can help in collaboratively creating a digital edition, which, according to Patrick Sahle, can be defined as dynamic digital editions. I will start off with DARIAH, which is forming the infrastructural superstructure or roof for TextGrid. TextGrid itself is aiming at providing a research environment for the digital edition philology. So some basic information for DARIAH-DE. It is, as Frank already mentioned, the German national contribution to the European research infrastructure DARIAH-ERIC within the framework of ESRI. The coordination of this big project is here at Göttingen State and University Library. And it is funded by the German Federal Ministry for Education and Research. The time frame is we now in 2016 start with the third phase in this project. It's the operating phase. The goals are DARIAH supports digitally enabled research and teaching in the arts and humanities. For this purpose, the project is developing a research infrastructure in support of service and research data as well as materials for research and teaching in the digital humanities. It also supports cross-linking of various humanities and cultural disciplines. It promotes the exchange of resources, methods, data and experiences by creating a digital research infrastructure that extends the existing research infrastructure for, archives or like libraries, for example. DARIAH-DE blends with other national DARIAH activities in other European countries, such as, for example, in France, the Netherlands, Denmark, and Austria, just to name a few of them, together run a European networked research infrastructure for the humanities and cultural studies. Together with other national DARIAH activities in other countries, it forms the European research infrastructure for the arts and humanities. DARIAH EU is one of 48 projects on the roadmap of the European Strategy Forum on Research Infrastructure. ESRI was launched in 2002 already as a strategic instrument of the European Commission to further develop the European research landscape and to promote and strengthen it internationally. So let's have a look, a brief look on our DARIAH-DE partners. Round about 22 national partners from the arts and humanities collaborate in this project. It's as well as cultural sciences, information science, universities, libraries, computer centers, academic institutions, one Academy of Sciences, and one commercial partner work together in this project. Frank already mentioned the 4 pillars of DARIAH-DE, and I want to introduce them a little to you. The 4 pillars are teaching, research data, and the technical infrastructure. Teaching is to support the training. We support workshops on methods, for example, colloquia for experts, workshops for academics, summer schools, and we coordinate the national and international curricular development in the field of digital humanities. The research area aims on digital methods and academic services, DH methods and practices, tools and academic services. Bibliography doing digital humanities is hosted there. Research data, there we support research data collections and, of course, research data management. Best practices for metadata you can find there, or we support standardized exchange of data, ontologies, the development of generic search, assembling collection, and schema registry. And at the basis you find the technical infrastructure, of course. Here we develop and provide some infrastructural services, for example, collaborative research environments, virtual machines, the monitoring services, authentication, authorization infrastructure, and so on. You will hear more about it later. Teaching and training. In the teaching and training area of the portal, you can find, for example, various events like workshops and summer schools with topics related, for example, to technical, methodological, legal aspects. Online tutorials and training material are also available there. The Digital Humanities Course Registry collects all programs of DARIAH EU related trainings or courses. This course, for example, is there registered too. The academic services, and you will also learn more about it later on, are supporting research by different scholarly services. For example, Meise. It's an editor for sheet music. Digivoy or the GeoBrowser are also very well known. One of the core services in DARIAH for research data is the collection registry, for example. It It contains actually more than 100 descriptions of scholarly collections. The collection registry acts together with two other main components in this area, that is, the generic search and the schema registry. All of them are needed to identify, share, reuse, and other relevant research data. The collection registry allows to search and reuse data, to register new collections, to add metadata. The also implemented PID service ensures the unambiguous referencing of resources for reuse. Furthermore, there are handouts and other publications, for example, about legal aspects of licensing. You find them on the DARIAH homepage if you search for DARIAH working papers. Unfortunately, the most of them are in German now, but there are some in English too, of course. The technical services in DARIAH-DE contain, for example, the DARIAH authentication authorization infrastructure based on the standards LDAP and SAML, and of course Shibboleth. A monitoring system alerts the computing centers if any service is not available. For the community of developers in DARIAH, DARIAH offers, of course, a developer portal where different services are integrated, for example, SVN, Jenkins, Chili Project, but please don't ask me for details. But there we have some experts here. Chili, for example, is a ticketing system for bug tracking. The tools for collaborative work are, of course, not only for the developers, but for the DH projects too. And highly frequently used are, for example, Confluence, the wiki system, or Etherpad, where you can share documents. So let's have a brief look at TextGrid. TextGrid is integrated in DARIAH as a virtual research environment for the humanities. And we already know the basic information. Frank gave them to us. And I just want to say the third phase of TextGrid will end this year. And it will end with the integration of TextGrid into the bigger DARIAH infrastructure. A brief look at the TextGrid partners show that there are 10 partners, universities, libraries, computer centers, academic institutions, and here one Academy of Sciences too. It's a mixture of academic institutions, research organizations, and technological partners. And these partners have, with only few expectations, been with us pretty much from the very beginnings, which has given us a very fruitful continuity in the development of this tool. So you see the state of the art we run through the time with many productive versions and an increasing number of users, currently approximately about 1,500 users, and a very active community is using TextGrid, and now it will be integrated in DARIAH-DE, as I already mentioned. And the main the central area of the work in TextGrid was the community building. It has TextGrid user meetings. They have a central meaning, a central networking function. There we can learn about more about the requirements for the software we are developing in cooperation with the community. And we, in order to support the research projects which run for a long time. And we will go on with these user meetings. They are very, very fruitful. And comparing the user groups or disciplines related to TextGrid and DARIAH, you just can find that the variety of the disciplines is a very bit as diverse as the framework conditions and goals are. This slide gives a short overview on how many different DH projects are using TextGrid or DARIAH. The black font color, or how many projects plan to use the components. These are the ones in red and blue font color. The projects printed in green are already completed. As you can see here, most of them are located at universities, and some of the projects do not only use TextGrid but further services of DARIAH too. And let's have a look on the 3 pillars of TextGrid. It's mainly the TextGrid laboratory, where you can find modular, expandable, open source software. It's optimized for the creation of digital edition, as we already heard, and it's based on XML and TI. The second pillar is the TextGrid repository. It grants long-term availability and access to research data and material, archiving, search, visualization, reuse, and publication of research data. And the third pillar is the community, as we already mentioned. You can find there also documentation, trainings, user meetings, video tutorials, user forum, help desk, and of course the online manual. So what does it mean to use TextGrid to produce a digital or hybrid edition? You will work it out yourself tomorrow, and the colleagues here, Obo, Frank and Matthias, are the experts in this area. But let me point out some of the basic steps to produce humanistic research data like an edition via a virtual research environment. The initial point are your sources, that is, image files, music scores, or XML or TI encoded text. This has to be ingested into the TextGrid laboratory. In this secure environment, you find the tools to set up your project, to process and enrich the text, to do the markup, and to add metadata, for example. All data is stored in the repository, the previously unreleased and the published data also. The published data can be transferred into an extended, indexed and searchable XIS database via SADE, an online portal. Further processing as a printed publication is also possible. This list gives you an overview of the tools you actually can use in TextGrid, but don't be afraid, I will not talk about them all to you now. I just picked out some of them which may be of interest, and just to name them, so you may remember maybe sometimes that you already heard about something like that. These are, for example, Digilib and Mirador, CollateX, the metadata editor. So Digilib is a software specially developed for scientists that allows interactive working with large image files and excerpts from via a web interface. It allows looking at images online and carrying out scientific assessments with different tools. Mirador grants access to text on the internet is getting better and faster. Google and other similar text-based services allow an immediate access to information which wouldn't have been accessible or only with great difficulty a few years ago. The advantages for science are obvious. All around the world, researchers use specialized databases where historical works are available to them in form of electronic facsimiles and digital transcriptions available, and they can publish their results online without any time lag. But so far there are few possibilities to develop or access images scientifically. Why? For starters, image files compared to text files require a lot of storage space. A large part of the image files used in science are digital photographs, scans, or movies. Their high storage requirement arises from the digital pixel structure. An image in print quality can contain up to 14,000 pixels on 1 square centimeter. Whiteness, hue, saturation, and transparency need to be saved individually for each pixel. Although compression methods can reduce the storage required, but they might result in a loss of image quality. The high storage requirement has negative effects on archiving costs, the times of upload on the internet, and the necessary bandwidth. Furthermore, there are problems in accessing the content, since it is quite difficult to gain information from pixel or vector data. Everything worth knowing about a picture needs to be included as metadata. This applies to the content of the image content, what we see in the image, as well as the technical data and the circumstances of the shooting. The numerous online image databases are not meeting the requirements of today's researchers. With this problem in mind, DigiLib was developed. So the next tool is Paledex. It is a tool to compare textual sources. You can use 2 or more texts based on a tool developed for the research in the bioinformatics. This tool allows to detect similarities and differences between texts and supports, for example, the stemmatical analysis of a text's genesis. The metadata editor supports the use of a project-specific metadata scheme. You are able to define different kinds of fields and to state them as optional or obligatory. So, what to do with the data once you have them in the laboratory, in the TextGrid lab? You can publish it to the TextGrid repository. You can publish the data to an online portal via SADE. You can distribute the data in external database, archives, or repositories, or you can use it for a printed edition. So, the TextGrid repository mainly is for archiving and searching, and there you get the persistent identifier for your data, and you can reuse the data for further analyzing and visualizing. For example, to use Digivoy. It's an example for a variety of tools for quantitative analysis of literature and visualization. For example, word occurrences, frequencies, distribution, and so on. And SADA I already mentioned. It's a scalable architecture for digital editions and to distribute them in an online portal in an easy way. And here you can see an example for a SADA portal, but I think you will learn more about it later on and tomorrow in the hands-on session. So this is an example of a project, Library of Neology, which is already using this tool. So here you can see the workflow in the virtual research environment. Frank already mentioned. It's like already said, you need to ingest the data into the laboratory. There you can work with it, editing, make transcriptions, the markup. You can link the facsimiles to the text, and you can at least publicate your data in an online portal or into the repository. So we have, of course, some projects which already use the TextGrid project and the laboratory and all the tools there. For example, text database and dictionary of classic Mayan. This project undertakes to make the Maya hieroglyphic script, which is recorded in approximately 10,000 known sources, accessible in a machine-readable text corpus, grounded in epigraphic and linguistic analysis. Based on this work, a dictionary of classic Maya will be compiled, which both as a database and in printed form will represent the entire vocabulary and its use in the writing system. For the first time, machine-readable versions of the source materials will be employed in order to integrate all occurrences of the Maya hieroglyphs into a corpus-based database, together with information concerning the original hieroglyphic spelling, transcription and translation, as well as supplementary information. It thus lays the foundation for a systematic understanding of the structure of the writing system and of classic Maya, the standard language underlying the hieroglyphic script. The XML-TA-based text technological processing of the texts, their encoding and enrichment with metadata, their visualization in an online portal, and their preparation for print will be accomplished by the virtual research environment TextGrid. The sustainable long-term preservation of the research data will be provided by the TextGrid repository. And another project using TextGrid is the Library of Neology. But I think I'm running a little bit out of time, and I will rather go to the end of this presentation by, to take a look once again of requirements for digital editing in a virtual research environment. What do our users expect, not only from TextGrid, but maybe from VRE in general when working on a digital edition? They need support for their collaboration, because research nowadays is more complex and done by teamwork and also time and location independent. The results have to be accessible, for example, open access and referenceable. for example, via PIDs and DOIs. And the bigger the data, the more important becomes simple-to-use visualization, and it is important to know what exactly the tools are doing with the data by visualizing them. If we see our digital editions as research data, it is important to secure that they are reusable, but not only the digital editions, but also the tools and the services used to create them. And at least it is necessary to use standards to ensure the data can be reused. For example, metadata standards like TI or XML or ontologies. So how can virtual research environments support with texts and images? They put us in a position for collaborative development and annotation. They support us with different kinds of basic technical infrastructure, like, for example, different output levels of research data in a portal or repository, provided with persistent identifiers or permanent referencing storage interoperable standards. Furthermore, the knowledge about management of data, modeling, archiving, and so on can be shared and disseminated by and into the community. All this is not only about easy access and reusability of research data, but also about paving the way for new research questions in the arts and humanities. So I want to thank you very much, and please don't hesitate if you have any further questions to write or to ask now, and I think we will go on with the next presentation, or do we have a break now?
Yes, we just open now space for a small video for questions, and then we to break. And
Okay.
so let's just start. I have a question.
Okay, please.
So it was very interesting. We were saying with Elena that we feel very small because you have lots of excellent projects and you have developed an excellent work during all these years. We were thinking about how do you think the user of TextGrid must be? Do you think that it should be a user that has a kind of high competence in digital editing? What is the knowledge that a user of TextGrid must have to start a digital edition and finish it?
I think, thank you very much. I think that it is not important to have special knowledge. It's only the will to do something, to do a digital edition is the basis. And we have all ranges of users. We have users who are really have a high technical competency, but we also have users who are at the beginning, who just start to do the digital editing. So I don't think that there is a need for a special competence. You can just learn together with us and to be part of the community, and it doesn't play any role on which level of your knowledge you start with a digital edition, from my point of view. But I don't know if maybe there are any other comments to these questions or experiences.
I guess I can add a comment based on my experience. I think users of TextGrid don't matter if pros or novices, newbies can start working with the environment, and just have to be a bit patient and just have to know the documentation, or for example the mailing lists, or the different channels to reach those who are familiar with the technologies or other users, because there's always someone who can answer a question and who can help you in preparing something.
I have a question regarding the use of metadata applied to research results for that you use after creating a project in the TextGrid. So, as I understood, you use the data from the projects to publish it as like open data, or to relate with other projects or something like that, or it's a different thing? The projects that are registered in TextGrid are in your environment produce research data that are gathered or used or studied for any other purposes, or they are just remain in the platform?
I think they just remain in the platform, but they can be reused too. So we don't have many projects now published, but I think the ones which are online, they publish, of course, they are published together with their metadata for further reuse.
No, I was thinking especially for these users that are not familiarized with the system. Is it difficult for them like to put their minds in the TextGrid system, or everything is like guided in the process of creating a project and things like that, or do you have to train them specifically for that, or maybe because DTI is clear they have different tags and things like that, but for the other structure of the project, or you need to train specifically users to create a project in that sense?
I think that depends on the complexity of the project and on the range of metadata which is needed for the project. If it's very special, I think training would be helpful and nice, but you can use the metadata scheme in TextGrid without a training, because it's very, very simple. Okay.
Very impressed.
Thank you very much.
Question will arise soon, so don't
Yes.
worry, because now
Maybe
we are
during
at the
the
moment.
coffee.
So, okay, so I have coffee time.